Hey, everybody. Welcome to SOS Small Business Success Podcast, where we're all about building brands that survive while developing people to thrive. And let me tell you, we are doing it and we're doing it well. I'm excited by the progress that we're making as a country, as a world, as a community, to kind of surpass what's happening out there. So welcome aboard to the weekly podcast. You know, this airs every Wednesday afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. And it can be found on 7 different podcast platforms, including Anchor, iTunes, Spotify. So, please feel free to reach out and share the episodes as you feel. It's growing. It's a growing podcast. I'm excited about that. After doing a live radio show for 5 years and having, 75,000 listeners a month, doing just the podcast format on a smaller platform has been good and more focused for me, but I am interested in growing it. And you know what? I need your help to do that. So I am your host, Bonnie Bonadeo, and thanks for joining me today. You know, the last couple of sessions that I've done, podcasts that I've done, have been kind of more of an intimate look at what's happening around us. So 2 weeks ago, or I think it was, 2 weeks ago, it was, Dear Crew. And last week it was Dear Client. Well, today it is Dear Captain. And Captain meaning you, the owner. So we're going to talk about maybe what you're feeling and the overwhelm that you've been experiencing over the last year to 18 months. Now, part of what I want to always be able to bring you is to have you look at, are you creating a strategic opportunity to have the success that you want? Are you able to narrow down what it is that you say that you want and how you're going to achieve that? And, listen, that's not an easy task to do because, as captains and owners, you wear many hats and it's hard to stay focused. In any level of entrepreneurship that you have, it's hard to stay focused, and it's hard to say, how can I devote enough focused attention in one area to see the improvements that I want? Well, that's exactly what you need to do. So today's episode is not necessarily in one of our SOM strategies, which is either sales, operation, mindset, marketing, and education. It kind of rolls into all of them, with maybe mindset being a little bit more of the focus at this time. And it just felt important to be able to say this because I'm seeing it in myself. I'm seeing it in my clients. And so I wanted to express it for all of you to feel it. So welcome. Let's get started. So the title is Dear Captain, and that is representative of you, the owner. Now, we know that we're coming out of unprecedented times in our world, and hopefully there's no relapse in where we're going and that we're ready to move forward at this time. And I know that the last 18 months has certainly been a whirlwind, and we've all had time for reflection. I know that I have. And, the more people that I talk to, the more insight that I hear from people of what they valued, appreciated, and experienced and learned over the last 18 months of a worldwide, pandemic that we were in. And listen, here's what I discovered about myself. I know when things get tough, I get tougher. And I had made some big plans for 2020 to launch quite a few things, and I was very focused and I was very determined to make these happen. I made major investments in myself and my business, and most of that, even to this day, is on an indefinite hold right now because I had to shift. What I thought was important in 2019 and early 2020 became less important as we kind of progressed down the path of the pandemic here. So the shift, the redirect, the reinvention of me, my business, all business, humanity, that old adage of, 2020 hindsight. Well, it's never been more truer today than, and on all levels. And, with 2020 being the actual year for that, to happen. It's like we can look back on it now that we're midway through 2021 and be able to say, wow, okay, where do I go from here, right? So I didn't for 1 minute, like many of you, stop working and think that there was nothing for me to do. I researched, I created, I developed, I shared, I taught, I gave, I prospered, I offered. And all throughout 2020, not knowing how long this would last, I just kept planning to be better prepared for an unpredictable future like what we'd all experienced. And when 2020 arrived, I was incredibly hopeful, and I was thinking that it was going to be a better year and that the struggles were going to be behind us. And I discovered that my passions were weighing. I was watching my clients, my friends, and my family cycle through every possible emotion, only to realize that I was withholding my own. And it started to show up as exhaustion at first, just being bloody tired. And then it went into overwhelm with a side dish of anger of, like, why isn't anything working? I don't want to keep doing this. I certainly didn't want to keep doing it the same way and getting the same results. I kept feeling like I was doing too much. And then in the same moment, I felt like I wasn't doing enough. And that confusion, that lack of clarity, that eventually led for me to finally shut down because I felt put down and let down by many, from above to below and everybody in between. There was just this feeling of I need to shut down because I feel let down and put down right now. I didn't feel like I was making progress. I felt like I was spinning my wheels and nothing was changing. People were getting more disconnected. There was more trauma and drama being going on in the world. And I didn't feel like at this point that I could even handle any more of it. So I rested. I regrouped, I rebuilt. I started working on myself from the inside out, from, eating better to exercising more to meditation and things that were, mindset driven in order to be able to help me. I kind of stopped all the new data that was being poured into my system from the outside, because it wasn't like there was nothing left to learn, but there was now plenty to fill and fulfill. I had to start feeling what was going on with me in order to get through it. I had to start fulfilling what I already knew and putting it into action instead of trying to think that I needed more in order to get to where I wanted to go. And I realized that my resentment led to resistance. I started to resent everything around me, what was happening, how the world was shutting down, how the things that I enjoyed doing were not available to me. And then it led to resistance. And resistance really came from a place of wanting to blame people, wanting to put the blame onto the outside world. And that underlying human emotion following resistance is called revenge. So think about those 3 R's: resentment, resistance, revenge. And I had to look at, who's going to be the recipient of my revenge, right? The people that left me, the clients that didn't want to do business with me anymore, the companies that, created the line in the sand with me and not moving forward, the government, the virus, the world. None of that made sense. And none of that was going to help me to get where I wanted to go. It was at this point like a big fat waste of energy. There was nowhere to place my frustration. And this is when I became resilient, right? This is when we all have to kind of level up and we have to choose radical forgiveness. And I learned about radical forgiveness many years ago in overcoming some trauma in my life. And I remembered that I needed to go back to those notes, that toolbox, that chest of treasures that I had learned at that time to be able to overcome trauma. And so when I opened back up that chest of treasure and jewels that I use as tools to be able to help me get through some of the difficult times, I remembered that radical forgiveness was about me understanding I'm at a place that there's no one to blame and nothing to forgive. And when you can really kind of get to that space, it really represents a personal transformation and evolution. And it represents growth. And that was growth that I really needed to have available to me. That was growth that I needed to experience, because there was just too much going on in the world that I couldn't manage and I couldn't be responsible for. And I wasn't in a position to change it, but I was in a position to change me. Okay. Because we all felt overwhelmed by this. I know that we did. I know that you did. I know that I did. So I had a chance to really reflect, and I really had a chance to look at that radical forgiveness. I had a chance to find my resilience. And I had a chance to be able to say, listen, I hear your frustration. I see the betrayal that you feel and that you went through. I see the resentment that's starting to rise in you, and the idea of where you're trying to figure out where to replace your revenge. And you are not alone. And my message to you is that it's time to shift as well. I've learned the skill set through some beautiful life coaching and some beautiful people in my life that have helped me through these transitions. And I continue to utilize these tools to be able to do that. And these are the tools that I use to be able to help my clients and the people that I work with in one-on-one and in group relationships. From who you are to where you are to who you want to be and where you want to go. Okay. And it's quite possible. There's a lot that's possible in this. So let's look at it from this standpoint here. What growth have you had over the last 18 months? What internal dialogue do you need to filter through or be more curious about at this time? Okay, because it's what's going on up here that is stopping us from being able to have that transformation that maybe we need. What questions do you need to ask yourself as you stare in the mirror? Okay. When are you going to move from confused to curious? All right. Because we could stay in this state of confusion for a long time. And, I'm going to flip that around a little bit. When are you going to release your need to be right in order to move forward? Because you can't stay in that position of I'm right and you're wrong. Opinions are critical to our existence, but we have to be careful that our opinions are not making us right, which is making other people wrong. When are you going to look at the mindset that you've instilled and see, is it helping me or harming me? When are you going to ask the right people, the experts, for the support instead of asking the masses, not getting the clarity that you need and instead getting more confusion? Who do you have to be to see the possibility for yourself and your business? Are you curious to be able to determine how probable it is for you to reach that next level? And is it practical for you to invest in yourself to get to that next place? Is your mindset ready to change the message and to be able to market yourself and your business so that you can monetize this possible success that I know that you want? Now, I know we've been talking a lot over the last year of, rebuilding our businesses. And it's still a very powerful word, and I'm still a big fan of saying we've got to rebuild. But it's really also kind of like an evolution of, we can't keep doing things in an older way and expect to get the new business that we need. We've changed. This has changed our world. This has changed the way we see our world. This has changed the way we have adapted in our world. And it's changed the way that we're going to continue to move forward into the future. And so then you have to be able to ask yourself, are you paddling your ass off in a lifeboat, or are you ready for the yacht life? And I'm not saying that it's going to be easier or more glamorous, because the bigger the boat, the more the work. The more problems you have with crews, the more potential problems you have in operations and learning new things. But it's time to stop playing small, and it's time to rise up. And I know that we're all in a position to be able to do this. And I want you to think about how you're going to focus your attention on the most important currency that you and your business have to offer. And I want you to think of currency as not just in cash. I want you to think in currency of what is it that is so valid in your business that without it, you would be a complete failure. Okay? Is it your team? Is it your clients? Is it your community? Is it your systems? Is it your skills? And whatever that is where you're going to start in order to go from a life raft to a yacht. This is how you're going to build this bigger boat. Okay. So in the situation that I'm in, right now, I'm going to say that my currency in my personal coaching business is probably the skills that I've gained over the last couple of years. I've really invested a lot into being able to have some good skills. Now my job is to put myself out there. My job is to be seen and heard in order to get paid. Okay. And that comes from one of my great coaches that I worked with for 1.5 years. So I am finally, after everything that I've been through, the coaching that I personally went through and invested in for myself is now actually starting to manifest for me. Okay. So while I was in the program, I was learning, I was data input. Now I've been able to sort it all through. I've been able to plan it out, how it's going to work for me. And now I get to kind of bring it to life. And one of the things that she says is you got to be seen and heard in order to get paid. And I withdrew. As you can well imagine, like a lot of us did in 2020, we all kind of went inward instead of outward. We felt disconnected instead of formally and fully connected. So I'm ready to build the bigger boat, and I believe that it's my skills. Now, in my world where I'm in the position of managing and all the marketing and communications for the salon, the biggest currency that we have is the clients. Our clients are our greatest asset in there. Our clients keep coming back. Our clients are referring other clients. Our clients are open to new products and services. Our clients are our biggest currency right now. We don't have a lack of clients. If anything, we probably have a lack of staff, that's the area that we continue to put our focus and energy into, is finding more quality people. And the truth is that they're not just out there, randomly. It's developing, it's finding some people and developing them to be long-term players and long-term crew within our environment in there. But here's what I know is when you place your attention on something, it will allow you to acquire more strength. Okay. So think about that as the more strength you have, the better retention you have. Okay. So retention in the system working for you better, retention in more people hearing about you, more people knowing that you exist, more people knowing what you offer, more people liking the type of business that you are, the values that you represent. So there's this way to create this kind of indirect and direct manifestation of what you're aiming for. And part of it is, like someone will say, well, listen, I'm desperate for more help. Like we've got enough clients. I don't have enough help. And then someone will say, oh, don't bother with running ads. They don't work. And I'm not ever going to say that to you, because this is where you want to be able to have that focus You got to be clear on the strategy that you're using. And in today's day and age, it requires multiple strategies to get to the success that you need. So yes, you need to place an ad. Yes, you need to maybe socially put it out there. Yes, you need to have something on your website that nurtures people to see what you are about and what you are offering. Yes, you need good copy in order to, run those ads and do those things. Yes, you need to visit beauty schools and start nurturing some of those relationships of these newer students coming out to be your future employees. Yes, 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 yes to all of that, because that's the direct and indirect manifestation of being able to kind of fulfill this desire, this focus that you say you need to work on. It's not just one thing that's going to make it happen. And I know many of you probably have experienced this. I want you to think about something that here's a perfect example, algorithms. Okay, so this whole algorithm thing that's going on on the internet with Facebook, with Google and everything, you just have to look up or search or say the word out loud, and somehow your phone picks up on it. And next thing you know, you're getting inundated with those ads. Okay. So that's like a direct focus. All right. But then as you start to realize, then you start to see it's more available to you and there's more than one option. You start to see that there's many choices for you to find what you're looking for. It's the same thing for our business. If it is that you need more people, you have to create that opportunity to where it becomes an algorithm, in a sense, an indirect or direct manifestation to get to the bottom line, to get to the results you're looking for. And it works, but what it requires is a strategy. What it requires is resources. What it requires is your focused attention in one area in order to achieve that. So I want you to ask yourself these questions. What personal dialogue is keeping me stuck right now? What is one business area that you're struggling with? What are you currently doing to overcome it? Is it just one thing? Is it nothing? Is it 10 things? List it out. See the results that you're doing. Add more focus and intention to that particular challenge or struggle or goal. How are you measuring its success or failure? Do you have some data and some analysis to be able to review to see, is it working? Is it not working? Should you continue to keep doing it? Should you be doing more of this and less of that? Who do you need to be to have the success you desire? And what is stopping you? What is actually stopping you right now? Okay. So when you ask yourself those questions, I want you to think, where do I start? And I want you to start here. See, there's no such thing as business problems. There are life issues, and the life issues start with you. You're not stopping your business is not growing. Okay. But you're not growing. Your business wants to thrive, but your business needs you to thrive. Okay. You got to get from surviving to thriving. And that's one of the things that I work with my clients on. We really look closely at developing this brand strategy, this values-based business that is what you're about, and that you then pass on to your team, pass on to your clients, pass on to your community, so that you can grow your business based on who you are, not just what you do. And if you're interested in finding out more and being a part of the SOS community, then go to SOS-saloncoaching.com, and there's a free opportunity to set up a coaching session with me. And we'll talk about it. We'll work through in that coaching session opportunities for you to be able to see where you should be placing your time, energy, and resources. And then at that point, if you want to work with me for a strategy, I'll share with you the ways that we can work together in that. So don't wait any longer, you guys. I mean, life is not going to get any easier. Marketing is going to get tougher. Finding teammates, finding new clients, if that's one of your challenges, is going to get even harder as time goes on. And again, we're still living in an unpredictable future. We don't know where we're going at this point. And I think we're all very clear that if we don't start being in action and manifesting what we want, it's not going to come to us. But we have the ability to do that. So, all right. So thanks for joining me today. in Dear Captain, you, the owner. And you guys be sure to join me every week here. Share it with a friend. I'm ready for this podcast to be able to grow. So share it with a friend, share it with your teammates, share it up, share it down, share it across. And I look forward to you guys joining me every Wednesday here for the SOS Small Business Success podcast. And then next week, I'm going to have some more fun information to be able to share with you about an upcoming event. So if you're an educator, teacher, trainer, I've got a program coming for you, June 14th. All right, stay tuned for more on that. Thanks for joining me.